Hello, and welcome to the first lesson in our series on aerodynamic design in SolidWorks. This is being produced for the Southampton University Human Powered Aircraft Society by me, Euan French, the lead engineer. So, what we're going to go through with this lesson is the fundamentals of aerodynamic design. These are basically the building blocks that you can get to some pretty advanced designs just using these simple tools. First thing we're going to examine are splines. Now splines are a sketch tool, so what we're going to do is we're going to select the right plane by clicking on it, going into sketch, and then we're going to hit sketch to open a sketch in the right plane. Now we're going to make a spline. Splines are up here, and they're how SolidWorks define curves. So you'll see as we click around here that SolidWorks will generate a curve through all of these points that we've made. What we're going to do is we're going to make a simple aerofoil using 3 points. We're going to make sure that the starting point and ending point are horizontal, and we can see that by this dotted line joining them. We're going to click to make 2 points, and then we're going to hit escape. Now we can shape the aerofoil. There's only 2 rules really with making simple aerofoils using splines, and that's that the leading edge must be 90 degrees, like this. We can set it to exactly 90 down here, and that the trailing edge should be acute. It doesn't have to be acute, it could be straight 90 degrees as well, but in terms of performance, aerodynamic performance, you always want that to be acute. You can adjust the size, how far out the aerofoil goes by using the arrow. You can adjust the angle of the aerofoil at any point by using these diamonds, and we can do both at the same time by using the dots. So we're just going to define a pretty simple aerofoil here. Obviously this is only half of an aerofoil. We're going to want a whole one. So we're going to draw a line from the tip to toe. We drew it from toe to tip in this case. We're going to select it, and we're going to make it for construction. And this means that when we use this later for making our SUHPA base, that SolidWorks will ignore this line, since we're already using it to build the aerofoil around. If we wanted to do a symmetric aerofoil, what we would do is go up here to Mirror Entities, click on the spline in Entities to Mirror, make sure that Copy is selected, and then for Mirror About, we'd click the construction line. You can see that this has generated a nice symmetrical aerofoil now. If we wanted a cambered aerofoil, we would just draw in another spline. So I'm going to use 3 points again, including the origin. Remember the rule that the origin has to be 90 degrees. In this case it's minus 90 because it's pointing downwards. You see it takes a bit of playing around, but there we go. We can make ourselves a decent looking aerofoil. So, we'll stick with this aerofoil for now. So this is going to act as the profile for our sweep. Now we have our profile, the last thing we need is our path. Now the path has to be perpendicular, and for best results, completely perpendicular or completely orthogonal to the profile. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the front plane here, since this is completely perpendicular. However, a sweep requires that the path is inside the profile, and you can see that the front plane here is not inside the profile, it's just touching the tip. So we have 2 options here. We can either move this entire sketch forward so that it isn't centered on the origin, or we can create a new plane that's inside this profile. And we're going to go with making the new plane this time. So what we're going to do is we're going to press Control. We're going to click when we see this cross on the edge of the front plane. Then we're going to drag it out. Doesn't really matter where we drag it to, so long as it's inside the profile. We can set a specific distance over here, and I set it out to 10 millimeters. And then we're going to accept it. And now we have a new plane. So in this plane, we're going to go into it. I'm going to make a sketch again. And this is what's going to define the shape of the wing when you're looking at the wing from the front. So how it curves upwards. Just going to make sure we're inside it. The origin is definitely inside the aerofoil at that point. And I'm just going to draw out a simple spline so we can get some interesting curvature on the airfoil. Again, using this feature down here to set the angle of the start and end exactly as we want it. We do want the start point to definitely be horizontal. X out of that sketch, and now we have our two elements of our sweep. It's important to make sure that the minimum radius of the sweep is not smaller than the size of the profile. Otherwise, what you're going to get is the profile, SolidWorks is going to try and put it inside itself, and it's not going to be happy. So we can check that by going into the spline and then clicking show minimum radius. We can see that that's over here. It's bigger than the size of the profile, so that's not a worry. SolidWorks is not cooperating with me at the moment, so what's happening here, you'll be able to see, is that the minimum radius is not going away, nor is it showing me the control handles. You have to learn to accept these things when you're working with SolidWorks. And part of the art of SolidWorks is working around all of the bugs in the system. One way to fix this would just be to delete the spline and draw it again. We should get our handles back now. Yeah, we do. So we're going to exit out of this sketch, and now we're going to make our sweep. So we're going to go to Features, Swept Boss / Base up here at the left. For the blue section, we're going to select Sketch Profile, and we're going to click on the profile of the aerofoil we made. Then for the pink section, we need to select the path, and voila, we have our swept aerofoil. So you can see how it follows this curve that we defined for it. We can fiddle with this a bit. So here we have options. What we can do is we can put in a twist. So we specify the twist value. We can make it twist, say, upwards by 5 degrees at the tip relative to the root. Likewise, we can make it go down. We can make it a thin feature, which, as you can see, will make a 1 millimeter wall around the airfoil at the back. It can't make one because it's not thick enough. And we have some other options with how it follows the path. So we can do follow path or keep normal constant. You can see how that just slightly alters the shape of the aerofoil. So there you go. This is useful for making simple planar wings, but the major limitation of this is that we can't easily change this plan form, it's called, of the wing. So that's how the wing changes in shape when we look at it from above. With sweeps, we can only really make square wings. We can't really make wings that change in chord. What we need for that is we need lofts. Now lofts are very powerful tools, and they're used for smoothly transitioning from one profile to another, following a curve. So we're going to delete this sweep, and we're going to get into making lofts. We're going to delete this path, but we're not going to delete the profile. We will delete this plane. Now we draw our profile in the right plane, so we're going to click on that in the feature tree and click show, just for ease. And we're going to drag that out and make a new plane that will be parallel to it. I'm going to put that at a distance of 60 millimeters. I'm going to go into here, click on sketch 7, copy it by pressing Ctrl C. I'm going to paste it into plane 3 by clicking on plane 3 and pressing Ctrl V. Now I'm going to fiddle with this a bit to make it look different to the other aerofoil. So first things first, we can drag it out of the way. We can change the shape of it, and we can change the size of it as well. Okay, again, SolidWorks does have some weirdness with splines, and in this case it doesn't want to show me the control handles again. So we're just going to go and set this back up. So now we have a different shaped aerofoil at our tip to our root, and we can see it's offset as well. So now if we go and make a normal loft, we go up here, top left, lofted boss / base. We'd click on the profile of the first aerofoil and of the second, and you'll see it makes a straight linear interpolation between the two. But this is boring. You know, we probably want more than this. We can make curves with this sweep, so why can't we make it with this? Well, we can. And how we're going to do that is we're going to use a 3D sketch. So we're going to go into sketch again, and underneath sketch on the arrow, we're going to click it, and we're going to select a 3D sketch. This allows us to sketch, as the name suggests, in 3D. We're not restrained into a plane. This can get very, very confusing sometimes, so use this feature sparingly, in my opinion, but it is also very powerful. I'm going to make a spline again. I'm going to connect the leading edge of the first aerofoil to the leading edge of the second. Okay, just the 2 points. And we can use the control handles on these to define the shape of this leading edge. So this is how it looked before with the normal loft, just a straight linear interpolation between the two. But with this, now we can make it into a more interesting curved shape. Again, we can set the angles for these handles down here. So I'm going to make it sort of like a recurve on the front. Now looking from the front profile, again, we for the most part just have a straight line. We could change that too by dragging the angles. And let's set this to -180 here, so it's horizontal, and this one we're going to set upwards here to 180 as well. And now we'll get a little bit more of a curve. Just going to nip this one this way a bit. Okay, so now I'm happy with that shape. I'm going to draw another one. Sorry, I'm going to stay in the 3D sketch. So if you accidentally leave, just click on it again and then click Edit Sketch. I'm going to draw in another spline, going from the trailing edge to the trailing edge. And in the same way, we can define the shape of this trailing edge. Okay, I'm happy with that. So let's look at what we have now. We have two planes offset from each other. We have two aerofoils of different profile, and we have two what are called guide curves connecting the leading and trailing edges of the aerofoils. Now, for before, we said the sweep, the path had to be inside the profile. For lofts, it's different. The guide curve must be touching the edge of the profile. It can't be outside it, and it shouldn't be inside it. It should be touching the edge of the profile. So we'll go back into lofted boss / base, and in the same procedure we'll select the second and first aerofoils. You see we still have this linear taper. What we need to go is go down to here to guide curves. Click on that. Click on the two curves we've made, accept them both. And you'll see how it snaps the wing to those. And now we have a wing with complex curvature in the plan form and in the span form. And this is a really, really powerful tool for making nice, flowy, aerodynamic shapes in SolidWorks. This concludes the first lesson. The next lesson we're going to go through importing aerofoil data into SolidWorks, defining aerofoils in SolidWorks so we can manipulate them with parametric studies, and preparing for flow simulation. Thank you.